The pure, white wedding dress looks great. My daughter smiling beautifully with bright red lips next to the groom, who was moved to tears. Looking at her profile, I felt from the bottom of my heart that my choice at that time was not wrong. My name is Martha. I am 35 years old, working part-time and struggling with housework and child-rearing. My daughter Lana is 5 years old and attends preschool. She is a strong girl who likes to go to the little children's class and take care of them. She is a very caring girl. My son Raphael is 3 years old. He is an energetic and active boy, but still loves his mommy and is very spoiled. I am happy to have such two lovely children, but there is one thing I failed to do. I made one mistake in choosing my life partner, my husband.
I'm going fishing tomorrow.
What? Late on a Friday night, my husband comes home smelling of alcohol. I was astonished when he said that, as if it were a matter of course. Wait a minute. You promised to take the kids to the zoo tomorrow.
My coworker said the tide is going to be great tomorrow. I've already booked the boat.
Oh no. The kids were looking forward to it.
Well, tell the kids to look forward to my big catch, because Daddy's going to catch it.
Without paying any attention to my protests, my husband began to check his fishing gear. He showed no sign of regret for breaking his promise to the children. I don't know how many times he has betrayed me. I could not help but be disgusted beyond anger. Alvin, my husband of 5 years, is always like this. He puts his work and hobbies before his family. Of course, he never takes care of the children or housework. He only takes care of the children on days when he is in a good mood. He makes promises to the children to make them happy, but then breaks them for his own reasons. If you ask him to take care of the children, he complains that all of his colleagues' wives do it all by themselves. He does what he wants, and my husband is a perfect example of a selfish firstborn son. I wonder if I will have to live with such a selfish person for the rest of my life. I wonder that every day. But he still takes his job seriously and gets paid a good salary. He doesn't keep his promises, but he is not violent towards his children. My friends around me say that men will always be children. Since they say that, I have given up on him. Then one day, my daughter suddenly developed a fever of 102 degrees Fahrenheit and had to miss preschool. We rushed to the hospital and found out that it was the flu. I thought I would give her something to eat before going home and giving her medicine. However, there was nothing in the fridge that a sick person could eat, and I didn't think I could go shopping with my daughter who had a high fever. While I was looking for something she could eat, "Our daughter has the flu, so please pick up some jelly or fruit on your way home." I texted my husband on his cell phone, but when my husband came home in the evening, all he had in his hand was his commuter bag. "Did you get the food I asked for?"
Oh, I forgot. It can't be helped, I had a very long meeting today.
Without a sign of apology, my husband quickly changed into his room clothes and peeked into our daughter's room.
Daddy's home. You've got the flu, huh? Poor little thing.
He talks to her in the manner of a kind father who worries about his child. I sighed in a way that my husband wouldn't notice. If you're really worried about her, at least buy her something to eat. I'll go get some jelly, so you watch the kids.
Yeah.
Despite my uneasiness of what he said, I hurriedly drove away for my daughter. When I returned home after buying my daughter's favorite food, I saw an astonished sight. My son was cuddling up to my daughter, who was coughing and sleeping, and reading her a picture book. "Hey, I told you to watch the kids. Lana could get Raphael sick if they're in the same room." I protested to my husband, who was lying on the living room sofa watching TV. He glared at me with a grim look on his face.
Shut up. I'm tired from work. It's your fault for not stocking up on food for times like this.
Maybe so, but... Mommy! I heard my daughter's voice, as if our arguing had woken her up.
Look, she's calling you.
I had so many things I wanted to say to my husband, but I couldn't ignore my daughter who was suffering. Mommy, welcome home. I was reading to her because she was in pain. Well, thank you, Raphael. I laughed, not wanting to ruin my son's kindness by getting angry. I was laughing without effort while I was taking her temperature and feeding her Jell-O. My husband was giggling while watching TV. As expected, just as my daughter was getting better, my son came down with a fever. Even when he saw my son coughing bitterly in the morning, my husband did not care.
Poor thing,
he would say. He does not come home early because he is worried about his son, and he goes out drinking instead and returns in the morning. He has not a single word of sympathy for his wife, who is lying on her stomach next to his son, sleeping with a bright red face. I wondered if there was any point in staying married to this man, watching him sleep comfortably, smelling of alcohol and snoring loudly. These words kept coming back to my mind. When my son's fever had gone down, I finally came down with a fever. I knew I had to go to the hospital. I was too nauseous and lethargic to move as much as I wanted to, and the next thing I knew it was evening. The fever had risen to nearly 104 degrees Fahrenheit. My daughter was unable to go to preschool. She came to check on me several times while playing with her brother. Mommy, are you okay? Do you want some water? Thanks, Lana. I'm sorry. Mommy can't make lunch. It's okay. I ate bread with Raphael for lunch. What a good big sister. I felt sorry for my daughter and was moved by her kindness. Then my husband finally came home.
Geez, what a dirty room. You've been home all day. What have you been doing?
I didn't have the energy to talk back to the man who complained about his wife who clearly was not feeling well. I'm sorry, I have a fever.
What the hell are you doing? You're so pathetic for a mother. What's for dinner?
What? You're kidding, right? I can't cook. I can't even stand up.
You've got to be strong and get up. My company won't let me take off just because I have a fever.
I had no choice but to stand up after listening to my husband's ridiculous demands. But then my eyes swayed and I slammed into the door with all my might. I groaned in pain and sickness, and my husband looked down at me as if he was staring at something dirty.
Enough. I'm going to the bar.
Wait a minute. You need to feed the kids.
I'm tired and you're not even going to prepare food for your husband when he gets home. And you're asking me to make food for the kids?
Wait. I desperately grabbed the hem of my husband's pants, but he shook me off without hesitation and walked out of the house. Mommy, are you okay? My daughter rubbed my back anxiously as I collapsed in the hallway. Lana, I'm sorry. I need to call your grandmother. But my mother said there was a musical today that she was looking forward to. I feel bad for calling her at this hour. Oh, who can I return to? I need to call an adult. I talk to my daughter as if I'm mumbling in a daze. Mommy! Mommy! I was unconscious before I knew it. When I woke up, I saw a blank ceiling in front of me that I did not recognize. As I gazed at it blankly, Martha! I heard a familiar voice calling my name. I moved my head to see my mother and my children sitting with tears in their eyes. Mom! I'm so happy. I'm so happy. My mother covered her face with her hands to hide her tears. Mommy! My children clung to my body. Lana, Raphael! It seems we are in a hospital. After I lost consciousness, my daughter called her grandmother in tears. She said that she had rushed to the house in a panic because of her unusual call and found me and my crying children lying in the hallway. I was rushed to the hospital where I was told that I had been asleep for a whole day and that I had contracted pneumonia from the flu, but that I was in a good health. Lana, thank you. You saved Mommy's life. When I patted her on the head, she cried even more. She must have been so scared because her mother collapsed in front of our eyes. Feeling sorry, I cried a little too. After a while, my mother-in-law with an ogre-like face and my husband with a pouty face appeared in the hospital room. Apparently, my daughter had asked my mother-in-law for help as well. And my husband, who left me with a high fever and went to a bar, was scolded by his mother. Martha, my son has really done something terrible. I'm sorry.
That's not true. Martha asked me to go out for dinner because she couldn't cook due to a fever. Right, Martha?
My husband winked at me as if he wanted me to go along with him while he was telling outrageous lies. I was horrified that he could only think of his own self-preservation when his wife was in this situation. As I was about to open my mouth to argue with him, my daughter interrupted me and shouted, "Daddy, you liar!
What?
You stepped over Mommy asking for help and went out drinking!" My mother and mother-in-law looked at my husband with a puzzled look at my daughter's revelation. Of course, my husband was in a panic.
I didn't step over you.
So you are sure you didn't do anything wrong in abandoning Martha when she asked for help? My mother-in-law glared at my husband, who had dug his own grave. My daughter continued to speak the truth. You're always like that, Dad. When I have a fever, or Raphael has a fever, you just watch TV and laugh. He even goes fishing when he promised to take us to the zoo. He promised to take us to dinner, but then he goes out drinking.
I'm tired from work. And I've got to work too.
Mom works too. But Mom always cooks a delicious dinner, feeds me Jell-O when I have a fever, and plays with me a lot on her days off.
Mommy doesn't make a lot of money, so that's why she can do that kind of thing. Look, next time I'll use the money I earn to buy you that game you've all been wanting. As my husband's disgusting behavior was revealed one after another, my mother-in-law and mother's eyes grew colder and colder. Unable to bear it, my husband tried to put our daughter in a good mood by offering her money and other things, but she resisted him violently. I don't want it. I don't want games. I don't want Daddy. I don't want a daddy who bullies Mommy. My husband screamed at her refusal. I don't want games or toys. I just want Mommy to be happy. My son clings desperately to the bed, mimicking my daughter, who hugs me with tears streaming down her face. I'll stop asking for toys and eat my broccoli. I'll do my best even if Daddy's not here. Raphael, not you too.
Even his son rejected him, and my husband's complexion went even paler. He is not so foolish as to make a flowery statement that my children need a male parent after being told this much. I held the children close to me as if I were ready to make my decision. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to Daddy. My husband shouted in protest.
But I've given you money so you could live without inconvenience.
That's true. Thank you for all you have done. But from now on, I will raise our children.
You sure about that? I'm not giving you the house. I built that house with my money.
It's all right. You three can come live with me. Mom! My mother cut off my husband's desperate resistance. My mother-in-law also patted Lana on the head and smiled. Grandma is on Lana, Raphael, and your Mommy's side. You can always count on me.
Mom, you're taking their side too? But I'm your son.
You're not my son anymore. My husband lets out a quiet scream. I guess I've made a mistake in raising my son. You look just like your father that I divorced, and it makes me want to vomit. I knew my mother-in-law was divorced, but I had no idea it was for the same reasons as mine. I had seen that, and this man is really too much of a jerk. After being stared at with contempt by the woman, my husband had reached his limit.
You've got to be kidding me. I don't care if you cry and moan about it later.
He ran out of the hospital room saying something that a villain would say. Later, after my health recovered, my husband and I divorced. My husband, perhaps with a sense of pride, brought me the divorce papers he had prepared himself, so I made him promise to pay child support and divide the property among us, and signed the papers. Of course, my husband said,
"You'll regret this,"
and left in defeat. After returning to my single life, I took my mother up on her offer to stay with her. The small company my father owned was just looking to hire someone, and I was to join them. My kids helped out a lot too, just as they said. But they seemed anxious about losing their mother again, and at night the three of us would hold hands and snuggle together as we slept. I thought that the loss of my husband, their male parent, would cause some problems and inconveniences, but it didn't. In fact, I was no longer disappointed by my husband's expectations or treated unreasonably, and my children and I enjoyed our new life with a refreshed feeling. One day, while those days were passing, I received a call from my ex-husband. I picked up the phone, wondering what was going on, and heard him breathing very hard.
"Hello, can I talk to you for a minute? Sorry I sound like this."
"I don't mind, but what's this about?"
"Well, I've got a fever.
Okay.
I have a headache and a sore throat.
Okay.
And I've got the chills."
Okay. Take care of yourself."
"Wait a minute."
I was about to quickly hang up the phone, but my ex-husband hurried to stop me. "What is it?"
"I told you I'm in pain. Do you understand? Your husband is suffering."
"What? Husband? Are you kidding me? I'm not your wife. Bye-bye." I tried to say it in a way that my crazy ex-husband could understand. I thought, oh well, and tried to hang up the call again, but my husband kept talking frantically.
Wait. Married couples don't have a relationship so flimsy that you can say goodbye with a document like that.
Huh? That's what a married couple is, right? It's a relationship that can be joined or severed with a sheet of paper. It's important to build trust. You are the one who destroyed that. First of all, when I had a fever of 104 degrees, you said that working people have to work even if they have a fever, right? I will say those words back to you.
I understand. I'm sorry about that time. Please, help me. If I go down, you'll be in trouble too.
No, not even a little bit. We don't care one bit if you, a stranger, fall down or get sick. My ex-husband choked up, as if he was truly surprised. I'm surprised too, really.
You really don't care about me, do you?
Of course not. Didn't you get divorced because you don't care about us either?
No, I didn't. I just wanted you to realize how great a father I am.
I'm sorry to hear that. I realize that nothing would bother me or my children if you're not here. I'm never coming back to you again.
No.
6 months after our separation, my ex-husband finally understood the meaning of divorce. Even my 6-year-old daughter understands what it means, but he is a misunderstood man with a brain less than 6 years old. He seems to be like a burnout Ash on the other end of the phone, but without mercy this time. I really hung up the phone. I think he'll be fine if he's got the energy to call me, but in case he really is not doing well, I'll feel bad, so I'll call my mother-in-law just in case. When my mother-in-law reluctantly visited my ex-husband's house after receiving my call, she found him wrapped in a duvet and crying inconsolably. His fever was 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit. How could a man who was so fussy about a slight fever swear at his wife for having a temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit? My mother-in-law was also disgusted with his behavior and left quickly. After that, my ex-husband tried his best to find a new wife, but he could not find a woman who would accept a selfish man over 40 years old. My mother-in-law also said that my ex-husband, who grew up to be a man like her ex, has become physiologically unacceptable to her and she will never let him in the house. He was so dependent on me that he couldn't do the housework. His life was in shambles. He drank and ate heavily due to stress, and his health checkup results showed that he was in need of a lot of tests. Whenever he became ill and felt lonely, he would write or call me to complain about the misery of his life and the pain his body was going through, but of course, I ignored it all. A few years later, when I decided to remarry, I offered to withdraw child support and changed all of my contact information. 18 years later...
Lana, congrats on the marriage.
Dad, you're crying too much. Lana laughs in amazement as my husband weeps profusely in front of our daughter's wedding. I got remarried a few years after the divorce. Working in the field of education, my new husband has a heart as wide as the sea, and he loved my children from the bottom of his heart, even though they were not related to him by blood. Even though I am a female parent, I can say that he devoted himself to our daughter, especially when she was in her teens. He definitely melted the heart of my daughter, who had lost faith in men because of my ex-husband. Perhaps that's why she chose the current groom, a passionate man who would weep along with my husband. I smiled a little at the sight of the two big men crying before the ceremony even started, and took my daughter's hand. Lana, be happy. My daughter giggles at my words, her beautiful face scrunched up in a smile. What are you talking about, Mom? I have always been happy. I've been happy ever since I was born your child. Lana. Mom.
I'll make sure to make Lana happy.
The tears that were about to spill out unintentionally were pulled back by the sobs and tears of the groom, who was sobbing even harder than before. It was a mess. But a wedding like this is not so bad. I don't even know what I'm saying. The girl who wipes the groom's tears with a sullen look on her face is a fully grown woman, and there is no trace of her childhood. But her kind and caring nature has not changed since she was a child. I'm glad I got to be your mother. Congratulations on your marriage.